there is a prevailing narrative in the US that you became homeless because you failed, right? Or you became homeless because you're lazy. You don't want to work. You don't have an education. You have a chemical or alcohol addiction. You have a mental illness. Well, none of those things fit me, but yet I would always hear these narratives. These are real people being affected by an issue that's a social issue. It's not the failure of an individual. 10 months in the New York City homeless shelter, and it was run by an organization called Urban Pathways, where I still, 17, 18 years later, still have an incredible relationship with the staff. It was the director of that shelter who came to the facility to meet the guys who were writing the letters, who were organizing against them for better conditions. But he said, I have to respect you guys because you're not only telling me what's wrong, you're telling me how to fix it. So my experience overall was a good one. I can't speak for everybody else. You know, a lot of people say, well, I'd rather live on the street because, you know, it's safer. They come up with all of these reasons. I make the argument that the elements in New York City are going to beat you down. You're not going to win facing the elements by living on the street. But my experience was unique. I do think we have a problem in shelter now where the average length of stay is close to 2 years. That's problematic. That means we're not building enough permanent housing to move people out of shelter and move them into permanent housing. So you come off the street and you go into emergency shelter from 0 days to 6 months. From 6 months and a day to 2 years, you go into transitional housing, and then they're supposed to find permanent housing for you. But we don't have enough permanent housing, so many people end up back on the street, into emergency shelter, back into transitional housing. So we have high rates of recidivism, one, but we also have people stuck in transitional housing for years, which is also problematic. So when I started working with Picture the Homeless in 2007, there were 28,000 people a night in shelter. Today, there were close to 85,000. So we're failing at that process, right? Shelter is not a home. It's just a place to warehouse bodies. And that, you know, it's missing a lot. And I think we have to get out of that mindset in New York.